higher time frame analysis. So I'm going to advise using 2 to 3 time frames. So the higher time frame, okay, your highest time frame is going to be your structure and phase. Okay, your middle time frame is going to be your zones and POI, and your lower time frame is going to be your entry confirmations. Okay, so you only need 3 time frames. These first 2 time frames, if you're having problems with the screen, bro, please join the Zoom link. There should be just a couple messages ahead. Okay, so these 2 time frames, the higher time frame and the middle time frame, they're very similar. Okay, they're going to be sort of combined. For example, and before anyone asks this, yeah, if you're having any problems with the Discord, please join the Zoom. These 2 time frames, okay, it can be any 3 time frames. So I'd use the 15 minute, the 5 minute, the 1 minute. It can be the hour, the 30 minutes, the 5 minutes. Okay, any three any 3 time frames work. So don't get so caught up on a time frame. You just want a higher time frame, a middle time frame, and a lower time frame. The higher time frame is going to be for the structure and the phase of the market. The middle time frame is going to be the zones and the POI. These two are going to be quite interlinked. The third time frame is when these two create the bias. This is arguably the most important because if there's no confirmation for a bias, then we're just gambling. Okay, so we'll get into one bullish example, one bearish example, but I want to keep this in mind. So we'll start with this chart here. So what did we say the higher time frame was? It was for structure and phase. So this is going to be my higher time frame. And I want to determine the first thing is the structure. So on this higher time frame, are we in an uptrend or are we in a downtrend? Well, I can see based on market structure, we put in a high, a low, a higher high. This was our last break of structure. So our structure is this is our protected low, this is our current high. We are in a uptrend. Sweet. Now, what phase of this trend are we in? The market always does 2 things, okay? In an uptrend, it expands, then it pulls back, then it expands, then it pulls back. In a downtrend, it does the same thing. It expands to the downside, it pulls back to the upside, expands to the downside, pulls back to the upside. So we've determined we're in an uptrend, but are we in the expansion phase or are we in the pullback phase? Just check the Zoom chat quick. Oh, perfect. So in this here, well, what are we doing? We're making higher highs or are we making lower lows? Well, we can see we had a high, we had a low. What did this low do? This low, okay, in an uptrend, this low should do what? It should give us a new high. But it's failed to do that. So that's the first sign of bearish continuation. Okay, we have this low here. It failed to make a new high. The second confirmation is as well, where are we rejecting from? Well, we're respecting these bearish fair value gaps. Okay, so another sign of supply is currently uncontrolled. And we have a small zone here. This is internal because this isn't a breaker structure. Okay, but this small zone here, we've respected exactly 50% of that, and we're starting to move lower. So based on exactly what I see on this higher time frame here, the next 15 minutes or so on this 15-minute time frame, I expect the market to head lower. Okay, we have a high, low, a high. For me, the draw on liquidity, where it's price likely to go, it's this low here and then these lows from the previous day. So this is where I'd expect price to go. So although we're in an uptrend, I've identified we're in the pullback phase. So now I want to look for sells. Okay. If the screen's not showing, please join the Zoom link. Posted it again. If anyone is having problems, please join the Zoom. So now I know we're in the pullback phase, we're likely to take out this low. So now what I go on? I go on the 5 minute, okay, my middle time frame, and I look for zones and points of interest. So we'll go to the 5 minute. and I'm gonna look for my 6 taps. Okay, so what do we have? Well, we can see we had a breaker structure to the downside here, and we had a breaker structure to the downside here. So technically we have two zones, okay? We have this zone and we have this zone. Okay, when I have two zones stacked on top of each other, this zone is very, oh, thank you, bro. I was actually thinking in my head, if Cash was here, he'd sort it out. I appreciate that. Um, this tap here, we've barely mitigated this zone. So I'm not going to use this zone. This is silly when we have two zones stacked on top of each other. This is unmitigated. I don't want my protected high here. So now on the 5 minute, I have my point of interest. When I'm looking for my 6 taps, I have my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so what do I need now? I need this to get swept. If it doesn't get swept, I don't get a trade. It's that simple. Perfect. We swept it. So now we go back. We've got our structure and phase, 15-minute uptrend, but we're in the pullback phase. Okay, we had our zones and point of interest. We had this 5 minute zone, this 5 minute liquidity sweep. Now what do we need? We need a lower time frame entry confirmation. So I need proof that price does indeed want to reject from the supply zone. We can 100% just completely rip through it and get a change of character. So we go on the 1 minute and I look for confirmation that this supply is going to start taking control. What do we do on this lower time frame? We form an area of demand. Okay, so I'll keep an eye on that demand. If price is going to continue higher, we should tap into this demand and continue breaking structure. Okay, what do I notice? First of all, how do I know this was a valid area of demand? We can see price tried to bounce on it, got a small bounce but failed, and then continued lower. And now I know this higher time frame supply broke this lower time frame demand. Sellers have stepped back in control. And what can I expect on this higher time frame now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can expect price to come back down and take this low on the higher time frame. So I'll go back on my lower time frame. Now I want to look at where supply stepped in. We can just mark this whole previous zone to keep it simple. Okay, entry here, stop loss above. And yes, we are expecting, okay, this number to be taken out. Boom. So that's a 1 to 4. But what do I do? I'm simple. I take my 1-to-1s. Okay, play that out. Get tagged in. We hit take profit. See what the higher time frame does. Perfect. It comes and takes out this low exactly as planned. So does that make sense? From the start of the time frame, right, all the way down to the lower time frame. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Exactly, exactly. Even if we're wrong, because we know we've entered in an area of supply or demand, we'll still get a push in that direction. I talked about exactly that in the backtesting notes this week. I was saying that even if we're wrong. We're pairing 15-minute zones with 1 minute structure. So if this is our 15-minute zone or 5 minute zone, either or, if this is our 15-minute zone, I'm looking for 1 minute structure to confirm that this zone wants to do its job. Because this zone is either going to do two things, right? We're either going to continue with the trend or we're going to change character. The 1 minute time frame will tell me, yo, yeah, look, well, this 15-minute zone's working, or no, change the character. I've gone from looking for sells to looking for buys. Yes, exactly that, bro. Finding the 15-minute zone of broke structure, then the 1 minute confirmation. So we'll do another example. This chart here. So what do we notice? What's the first thing we want to determine? Okay, the structure and the phase. Okay, well, you can see we were in a downtrend. We switched to an uptrend. So this low to this high we're in an uptrend. Now, we're either in two phases, okay? We're either in the pullback phase, or we're either in the expansion phase. Simple. Well, what can I see? I can see price pulled back, okay? We formed a double bottom. Okay, we failed to take out this low. Tried to take out this low, failed. Then we ran the high we came from. So if you know about the order flow I talk about, this is very bullish order flow. So to me now, this pullback is over. We're in an expansion phase, and we're likely to go where? We're likely to come take out this 15-minute high to create high, higher low, higher high. So am I looking for buys or sells? I'm looking for buys. Simple. Now where? I can go to my 5-minute time frame and I can look for some sort of zone, area, point of interest, etc. So we have what? We had a high here and we candle closed above it. That's my 5-minute breaker structure. Now, what specifically caused this breaker structure? It was this area of demand here. Okay, this was the area responsible for taking out this high. Now, if I look at my 6 taps, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm looking for this here to get swept, and then I can look for confirmation. So again, higher time frame 50-minute, we're in an uptrend, we're in the expansion phase. Middle time frame 5-minute, we've got a breaker structure, we've got a point of interest where we can look for our 6 taps. What's the last step? Lower time frame entry confirmation. So this only happens, this is the last step, this only happens after we sweep this tap. If we don't sweep the tap, we restart, we don't get a trade. So there we go. There's a tap being swept. Now we're in a demand zone, higher time frame demand zone. So what I want to see, I want to see a lower time frame supply be violated. So let's see what we have. Well, you can see we have this area of supply here. What do we notice about this area of supply as well? It's starting to form 6 taps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now this is the 5. So this is the 5 now. So if price is going to continue lower, what are we going to do? We're going to sweep this, tap into this area of supply, and then start moving lower. Right? If price is going to move lower, it should happen from here. If not, what does that tell me? That tells me this higher time frame demand is being respected. It took out lower time frame supply. Buyers are back in control. Trend continuation. So let's see. Okay, there's the sweep. Now, if we're going to continue lower, this 6 tap should give us a lower low. Right here, because this is where we broke the zone. Boom. So this 6 tap failed. We took out this area of supply. So now I know that buyers are back in control. I can expect what? This bearish zone we had turns bullish. That's my lower time frame entry confirmation. To keep it simple, we'll just enter at 50% of this zone, stop loss below, and target that same thing, that 1-to-1. Get tagged in, and you're out. And what can I expect again on this higher time frame? I'm expecting this higher high, high, low, higher high, higher low, higher high, to take this out and to take that out. Nice, that's exactly what we do. Again, I'm happy with my 1-to-1, but it did deliver exactly to the target as planned. Why don't I take my confirmation as valid low? So valid low is sort of the most basic entry model, if that makes sense, to keep it as simple as possible. But if you're purely taking valid lows and valid highs, your win rate is not going to be as high if you don't wait for proper confirmation.